Hi there, I'm everyone who's ever written a list about tag team matches in WWE. Here are some of my favorite: TLC 2, Triple H and Austin vs. Benoit and Jericho, Edge and Mysterio vs. Angle and Benoit, the Wyatts vs. The Shield, the Rhodes vs. The Shield, DIY vs. The Revival 2 out of 3 falls. All of these matches are great, of course, no complaints there, but the internet can be a bit of a small place with the same topics repeating over and over, and why click on a list if not either to learn something new or remember something that sat in your memory covered in more dust and cobwebs than the concept of tag team wrestling in modern day main roster WWE. Seriously guys, why are there no teams, please? Let's look at some forgotten classics and remind ourselves of some good times. Also, hey, if you haven't actually forgotten any of these matches and feel like mentioning that in the comments, please instead channel that energy into walking into the sea. I'm Adam, hailing from partsFUNknown, and here are 10 classic but forgotten WWE tag team matches. Check back after the list for a message from this video's sponsor, Surfshark. Number 10, the Brainbusters versus the Rockers. Let's start with some good old wrestling with the Revival's dads taking on the Young Bucks dads in Madison Square Garden in 1989. It's every bit as good as a match involving these four men should be. Tasked with taking the Rockers and making them look like the hottest of shit, Anderson and Blanchard, during their brief vacation away from their true home of WCW, bumped their tits off for Michaels and Jannetty, including a double superkick spot that genuinely wouldn't look out of place 30 years later. One of the best things about this match is that it's a showcase for the fact that sometimes the most important narrative tool in a tag match isn't any of the wrestlers, but it's the referee, and more specifically, where the referee's attention is. The Brainbusters use the ref like Shakespeare using a massive f***ing feather, laying on distraction after distraction, making both the rules and the breaking of the rules clear as day to the rapt audience. It's a subdued but wonderful match, and surreal to see such staunchly southern wrestling in WWF's home New York venue. Number 9, HBK and Steve Austin versus Owen Hart and Davey Boy Smith. Shawn Michaels was really good at two things: wrestling and hair, and goddamn, here's a sumptuous helping of both. Returning to active wrestling for the first time since embarking on a 4-month journey to find his smile, Shawn instead found Stone Cold Steve Austin, which is the opposite of that. 1997 was truly the year that WWE began to make strides in pulling itself out of the financially disastrous mid-90s, and in this match are most of the reasons why. Owen's as good as he ever is, Davey Boy's a brick house, dumping Michaels onto the top rope in a hilarious spot, Austin is hot fire and still super nippy because he hadn't busted his neck yet, and Michaels is a miracle showcase of timing and being a big springy fucker considering he hadn't wrestled in 4 months. Not only are the tag straps on the line, but the rest of the Hart Foundation are looming like wolves at ringside. Everyone's got their working boots on, the crowd love it, and the WWF managed to resist ramming it full of interference. Really great stuff. Number 8, the British Bulldogs versus the Hart Foundation. Not sure if you know this, but tag team 2 out of 3 falls matches are f***ing brilliant, and the Hart Foundation are brilliant at 2 out of 3 fall tag matches. They've put on 2 out of 3 fall clinics with the Rockers in a match that WWF infamously retconned because the ring ropes broke during, against Demolition at SummerSlam 1990 in the best match Crush ever had, and this oft-overlooked gem from all the way back in 1987, making it the only match on this list that's older than me. It took place at Saturday night's main event 11 and saw the Hart Foundation working heel, defending their titles against the British Bulldogs, Davey Boy Smith and Dynamite Kid. First of all, Matilda attacked Jimmy Hart before the match. I enjoyed that. Second, holy hell, the crowd enjoyed this match. It's a WWF match, so it's got more bells and whistles than some people might like. Danny Davis and Tito Santana are at ringside, and that's a sentence that's rarely said with enthusiasm, but this is a grand showcase of 2 of the most athletically and psychologically accomplished teams in WWF's golden era of tag wrestling, and the pop when the Bulldogs win after a rare 2 straight falls is so loud the building shakes and it the audio mix all to hell. Number 7, the Hardy Boys versus Edge and Christian. Unforgiven 2000 is a real sleeper hit of a pay-per-view in a year full of them. Not only did Steve Austin return giving Shane McMahon 2 of the greatest stunners ever committed to film, bloody look at that, Raven debuted, and the card had a whole bunch of fun matches. Funnest of them was a steel cage match pitting the Hardys against the champs Edge and Christian. What makes the match so great, to me anyway, is that it's booked so well, so clearly. Simple beats, one step leading to the next in a match layout that's exciting and makes total sense. Edge and Christian have attacked Lita before the match, so she's missing. They dump Jeff out of the cage, leaving Matt trapped in a double team situation, which they really milk for all the heat they can get. Jeff uses a ladder to get back in because he's a Hardy and he was raised by ladders. Jeff does a crazy thing to get back in the cage. Damn Jeff, you crazy. Christian is taken out by a returning Lita. Hardys flip the script, double team Edge. Hardys win a huge feel-good victory. It's rare to see a story play out so logically and satisfactorily in the WWE, but this one just clicks all the way down the line. Number 6, HBK and John Cena versus Batista and The Undertaker. This is Can They Coexist? The musical. WWE is heading into WrestleMania 23 with both main events set in stone with almost 2 months to spare. Unheard of. For the pay-per-view before Mania, No Way Out, WWE paired up both of the champions and the challengers and then set them against each other in a Raw versus SmackDown Super Showdown. Can they coexist? Psychologically, this match isn't exactly as sound as the others on the list, but it does have 2 pretty huge bullets in the chamber. It's a match featuring the 4 biggest names in wrestling at the time in front of a white-hot crowd. There's a stretch in this match that's Cena in his prime versus Taker in his prime, and treasure it because you'll never see it again. While some might sniff at the idea of a pay-per-view being main evented by a tag match that on paper should be main eventing an episode of Raw, rest assured that all the lads give it socks and it's more than worthy of your time. Also, just bloody look at the names in this match. Jeez. Number 5, Shawn Michaels and Diesel versus Razor Ramon and the 1-2-3 Kid. Action Zone was a short-lived hour-long WWF show that aired in addition to Raw for less than 2 years in the mid-90s. While it eventually became just a Raw recap show before its cancellation, WWF initially tried to launch it with some blockbuster matches. Remember, like they tried to do with Main Event. Do you remember Main Event? Anyway, that main event of Action Zone episode 1 was WWF champion Bret Hart versus Owen Hart. Like that. The main event of episode 2, Shawn Michaels and Diesel defending their tag titles against Razor Ramon and the 1-2-3 Kid. An all-click super show which saw the 4 best friends go out there and sell like they literally refused to do for anyone else. The action is so fast. Shawn is everywhere. Also, look at that hair, great googly moogly. The 1-2-3 Kid is throwing more spin kicks than a glitchy copy of Street Fighter 2. Razor's throwing the 1-2-3 Kid into Shawn Michaels, and even Diesel moves faster than 3 miles per hour, which is saying something. The crowd are molten hot, crazy loud for the whole thing, making it an absolute treat to watch, even if it's a total pain in the ass to track down. Number 4, the Usos versus Luke Harper and Eric Rowan. Ah yes, 2 out of 3 falls, tag team wrestling being absolutely exceptional again. Not all of his WWE years were great, but 2014 was a sensational year for the late great Luke Harper. The Wyatts versus the Shield at Elimination Chamber, winning the IC title, being part of Team Cena versus Team Authority at Survivor Series, the ladder match against Ziggler at TLC, and then there's this. The Usos defending their tag straps against Harper and Rowan at Battleground, and what a showcase for Harper. Eric Rowan's great at what they use him for, brief bursts of explosive power, but the match hangs on Harper's shoulders, spending 80% of the match as the legal man and working as the base for most of the Usos' intricate spots, and boy do those spots build. Like many 2 out of 3 falls matches, the first 2 falls are speedier than average, but the third is false finish city, and they completely capture the crowd right up until the Uso retention, which arguably shouldn't have happened, but never mind. It's just a shame that the rest of the show is so throwaway. The main event's alright, that people might be less likely to revisit this card because this match gets a solid yeah from even the harshest critics. Number 3, Edge and Christian versus the Dudleys. I love this match so much. It's possible that everyone remembers this match because I yak on about it to death, but I also think it's safe to assume that no one ever retains any information in any list I've written, so here we go again. Royal Rumble 2001 is one of the best pay-per-views WWE ever produced during the hottest run of its life, and these are 2 of the most over teams in the company, having one of the hottest pay-per-view openers ever. Gosh, the crowd are noisy. The storytelling in this match is crystal clear. The Dudleys are working with concussions, Edge and Christian work over their heads exclusively, resulting in some real disconcertingly good selling from Devon especially. Aside from the same 10 moments on Raw that everyone presents when remembering the Attitude Era, this match, and indeed this whole pay-per-view, is as clear and distilled a dose of nostalgia porn as you can find. Everything's over here. The story, the teams, the catchphrases, the finish, and there's 1 or 2 achingly great falsies in here. I honestly don't care if this is not forgotten and is maybe one of the first matches you think of when you think of great tag team wrestling. Watch it again. Number 2, the Undisputed Era versus Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch. The Undisputed Era has a legacy of tag team excellence that surpasses possibly any tag team in the history of WWE. Seriously, more than DIY, Revival, Heart Foundation, The Shield, New Day. It's insane. Their matches against Imperium, Mustache Mountain, the Broserweights, Authors of Pain, The Revival, all of them are classics, but one of my favorites is their opening match against Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch at TakeOver Chicago 2. For the journey, not of Undisputed Era, but Lorcan and Burch, who go from a team that the crowd are actively unenthused about to giving them a standing ovation when the match is done. They enter as boring dudes in black trunks who strike unflattering comparisons to the Basham brothers and leave with a new hero's legend as stiff as lunatics who more than know their way around a ridiculously complicated spot. Kyle O'Reilly continues to be one of the most enjoyable fighters to watch fight in a generation. Roddy Strong works his dick off. Danny Burch smashes people with headbutts like only a brick can. And Oney Lorcan has one of the most entertaining hot tags ever, where the crowd start by booing him because who the hell is this dude, to cheering for him because wait, who the hell is this dude? A total joy. And number 1, TLC 4. Gosh, a lot of things happened in this match. Golly, there are 4 main TLC matches in WWE's initial run before they disappeared for half a decade. TLC 1 at SummerSlam 2000, TLC 2 at Mania 17, which floats high in most people's list of both the greatest tag matches and greatest WrestleMania matches of all time, TLC 3 on SmackDown 2 months later, which took the same lineup but added Benoit and Jericho, and then TLC 4 on Raw in October 2002. It's the least memorable of the 4, largely because it's all less iconic teams. Bubba and Spike, Jericho and Christian, RVD and Jeff Hardy, Kane defending his tag titles by himself after Hurricane is attacked earlier in the show, but it's still jaw-dropping carnage. JR calls the whole thing by himself, which is damn miracle work. Jeff Hardy does Jeff Hardy things. Y2J takes one of the most horrible bumps I've ever seen over the top rope. There's a goddamn Van Terminator. Bodies fly like they're being launched by trebuchets, all for free TV. The teams in it are a bit weird. It happened for a weird Raw roulette gimmick, and it would be the last TLC match for 4 years, making TLC 4 a bit of the odd stepchild of the TLC family, but still unbelievably fun wrestling. Hey, you've just finished watching one of our lists. We super appreciate that, and now you're probably going to be served a lot of videos because of your viewing history. Sometimes it feels like the internet's following us around, knowing too much about us, like DDP following The Undertaker's wife. Careful there, the internet. You're about to get buried at King of the Ring. Whether you're using US Netflix in the UK to watch classic Twilight Zone episodes, or in the US you want to watch His Dark Materials on iPlayer, Surfshark VPN secures your data with uncrackable encryption, secure VPN protocols, and maintains a strict no-logs policy that prevents companies from logging their users' data. It's not just about privacy, it's about safety too, as Surfshark automatically blocks more than 1 million known malicious websites, phishing methods, and other threats. Get out of here, DDP. Browse securely and safely with Surfshark. Try it today at surfshark.deals/jamthatjam. Enter promo code JAMTHATJAM for 83% off and 3 months for free. Link at the top of the description for more details. Oh, and one more thing, jam that jam. And that's our list. What's your favorite underrated tag match? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like and share this video around, and subscribe to partsFUNknown for more silly wrestling content. Jam that jam.